And Shui-Ming hesitated slightly. No matter how much of a piece of trash Mo Gao was, he was still a teacher of the academy. How could he be so easily insulted? Against Ling Han, he had a just cause on his side. Moreover, the stolen goods were already planted well in advance, so Ling Han would have no way to escape. Then, even if he used any rough movements in the process of apprehending Ling Han, so what? Who would actually defend the innocence of a person who had fallen from grace? Mo Gao, however, was a completely different matter. Teacher, allow me. Ling Han pushed Mo Gao gently to one side, and Shui Ming was indeed very strong, but the second layer of gushing spring tear, he could still manage an opponent of this level. Ling Han. Mo Gao was extremely astonished. The reason why he had interfered was because he knew that An Shui Ming would never dare do anything against him. But Ling Han did not have any trump card to protect himself. No matter how much of a monster he was, he still would not be able to match an opponent in the second layer of gushing spring tear, right? Don't worry, teacher, Ling Han said with a smile, and walked boldly forwards. Ha 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 ha! I have to admit that you are indeed quite brave. An Shui Ming saw that his dilemma was solved without him doing anything, and so could not contain his joy. Ling Han shook his head and said, You are just a lackey. What right do you have to bark? Let us see if I won't shatter your whole mouth of teeth. Insolence. An Shui Ming's eyes widened in rage, and he was about to make his move. Being so noisy in the academy, what a scandal! A dignified voice filled with displeasure was heard. Everyone turned around to look at this newcomer, and saw that the speaker was a tall, sturdy man. The man was dressed in embroidered robes, exuding a powerful aura that caused anyone who dared to look upon him feel as if they should take a step back. The third imperial prince, Qi Fengyun. There was also a crimson-haired beauty following at his heels. She had a very shapely figure, and her lips were the shade of fire. However, this was the third imperial prince's woman, who dared to look at her voluptuous bosom or spare another look at her slightly raised behind. Greetings, third imperial prince! Everyone fell down onto one knee to pay their salutations to this man who may one day inherit the throne. Yet Ling Han still stood as straight and upright as a spear. There was no one in this world that was qualified to make him kneel. This was the pride that belonged to the powerful warrior of heaven tier he was in his last life. Even if he had changed bodies, even if his cultivation level had dropped drastically, there was no way to change that. He would only keep his temper in check, but would never break his pride. Rise! The third imperial prince lifted his hand slightly and then asked, What's going on here? In reply to the third imperial prince, An Shui Ming was cheering secretly in his heart. The violet-shaped badge was something that the third imperial prince had gifted to a select few in the first place, and now that the main character was here, Ling Han's punishment would only be even more severe. Most importantly, when they found the violet-shaped badge among Ling Han's belongings later, Ling Han would have no way to deny it. Because how could the third imperial prince not recognize his own token? And Shui Ming immediately began to recount the facts of the matter. Of course, according to him, he had received a report from Feng Luo about having lost the token, and so, following the trail of clues left behind, went on to suspect Ling Han, which was why he was here with members of the discipline committee to search Ling Han's room and arrest him for theft. When the third imperial prince finished listening to this tale, an odd expression played about his features. Others may not know, but how could he not know that he had presented Ling Han with a violet badge just the day before? So what need was there for the latter to steal another? Based on his intelligence, he very quickly came to the realization that this matter was an attempt to frame Ling Han for a crime he had not committed. Furthermore, the mastermind behind this trap was very likely Feng Luo. Feng Luo watched all this happen from one side, and when he saw the odd expression on the third imperial prince's face, he thought that the latter was angered, and so he quickly fanned the flames by saying, Your Highness, it's all my fault. I asked for the token from my elder brother, yet did not take care of it properly, which created an opportunity for it to be stolen by a thief. Please, punish me, Your Highness. He bowed his head and clasped his hands in the third imperial prince's direction, but a cold smile curled up around the corners of his lips. Even he would have to be punished because of not taking care of the third Imperial Prince's token properly. So what kind of punishment would a thief like Ling Han get? Hehe. Who said he was stupid? He was an expert of the highest grade in this kind of crafty plans and machinations. It was only that he had no use for this kind of thing in the past, as whatever he wanted done would be done with one word from him. The third Imperial Prince cast a meaningful glance at Ling Han, before turning his eyes back to An Shui-ming. So, what do you plan to do? I naturally plan to search Ling Han's room. We have already obtained solid proof that your highness's token is definitely in his room. An Shui-ming said confidently. He would of course never think that Feng Yan's brother would dupe him. The third Imperial Prince smiled and took a look at the other people of the Discipline Committee and said, Do you all think this way? The others all looked a bit hesitant. In truth, they were all very much confused. They had come all this way here merely because of An Shui-ming's command, so they had no idea what was really going on here. But they all knew about the relation between An Shui-ming and Feng Yan, so when they saw Feng Luo, they had already managed to guess a bit of what was going on. And now, with this question from the third Imperial Prince, they could not help but hesitate. After all, once this issue became bigger, whatever they said now would be testimonial statements. It would be extremely easy for others to take advantage of any loopholes present in their words. Being in the Discipline Committee was a very tempting job. There was no need for them to leave the academy to go on practical training trips, and they'd still be able to earn academic points. Thus, they were naturally envied by a lot of people. We are not really sure. They finally decided to tell the truth, and Shui-ming instantly gave a cold hump in his heart, but this would not affect anything. As long as he managed to find the violet badge in Ling Han's room, he'd be able to firmly nail this crime on Ling Han's head. He said, Your Highness, this person has continued to put up a stiff resistance against our authority. Please wait while I apprehend him. Wait, Ling Han said, and smiled. Do not speak before you think. A good, well-disciplined student like myself is of course most ready to cooperate with the academy. It's just that I don't like the look of you. But since the third Imperial Prince is here, then fine. Let's go and search my room. An Shui-ming was surprised. He never thought that Ling Han would simply submit like this. I have not committed any crime, so my conscience is clear, Ling Han said. And Shui-ming instantly understood, though he secretly laughed at Ling Han's naivete. This was not something that could be simply solved just because you were innocent. This was fine. When he was caught red-handed, there would be no way for the brat to deny the accusation. The lightest punishment would be being expelled from the academy, or in the best-case scenario, perhaps the third Imperial Prince would act personally to deal with him. Just go die, idiot. Ling Han advanced without fear, while the others followed behind him. Even the third Imperial Prince was no exception to this. If anyone who did not know what was going on saw this, they'd think that Ling Han was the commander of this big group of people, and Shui-ming very soon realized this and quickly shot to walk in front of Ling Han, looking at him furiously. Ling Han smiled softly and said, What are you glaring for? Something wrong with your eyes? Plus, why does a mere commoner like you dare to walk in front of the third Imperial Prince? Are you intending to commit treason? Damn, what a serious accusation. And Shui-ming felt as if he was about to pass out. He only had not wanted to let Ling Han look so awesome, but why was he suddenly smashed with such a large accusation? He secretly shot a glance at the third Imperial Prince and saw that the latter's expression was indeed a bit dark, causing him to feel even more dizzy. He hurriedly asked, Didn't you also walk in front just now? Nonsense. I'm bringing you all to my room. If I don't walk in front, am I supposed to walk at the back? Has your head been kicked by a mule? Ling Han mocked mercilessly. Cold sweat appeared on An Shui-ming's forehead. Surnamed An, what is your intention? Disrespecting the third Imperial Prince is considered high treason, Ling Han said calmly, yet only made things worse. Do not slander me. An Shui-ming never thought that a subconscious action of his would allow Ling Han to dig out such a huge problem for him. He hurriedly began to explain. Really afraid that this moment of carelessness would be firmly taken grasp of, as a weakness of his and used to attack him. Enough. Since Ling Han told you to search, why are you all not searching yet? The third imperial prince said, his face filled with impatience. Understood. Anshui Ming exhaled a relieved breath. Looks like the third imperial prince did not intend to pursue the matter about his unintended disrespectful action.